Hey there, everyone. It's Jody Sutter of the Sutter Company. Welcome back to this month's LinkedIn Live. I have a really fabulous guest for us today. Before I get to that, I hope that everyone is having a good year so far. It's kind of hard to believe that we are almost to the second half of the year. It's been a year of uncertainty. I feel like that's a word that we're all growing to hate. Some agencies are doing really well. Some others are really struggling. So I just wanted to also remind you that if you're a small independent agency that is feeling like business development is just a little bit out of reach or too chaotic, or you feel like you're working really hard at bringing in the leads, but it's not working or you're not converting, I just want to remind you that the Build One Scale Accelerator is back. Enrollment is now open. This is a 16-week program that takes you systematically through 9 steps. The outcome is a new business operating system for your agency that is a repeatable, reliable process for new business. So you can scan the QR code or just simply email me at Jody at the Sutter Company or DM me here on LinkedIn. Also wanted to remind you that we are live right now. And so if you are here live, please do add questions to the comments, throw them up there. I will be keep an eagle eye out for them. And, I always prepare a lot of questions for my guests, but, this is really what I try to do is to represent you in these LinkedIn Lives and these Just Ask Jody Lives, asking the questions of my guests that I know are on your mind about how to make business development better, easier, more effective. And today we're going to be talking about visibility, an issue that I think a lot of agencies struggle with. And if you don't know him yet, my guest is Doug Zanger. Let me tell you a little bit about him before I welcome him on. Doug Zanger is the founder and editor-in-chief of Indie Agency News. Indie Agency News is a global hub celebrating independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. That would be you. Before founding this network, he was a radio host. He's been a voice actor. He has been a journalist. He's worked for both Adweek as well as The Drum. And he's also been on the agency side. He was the brand purpose communications director for Martin Agency. So he's seen what works as far as raising an indie agency's visibility and profile from a lot of different perspectives. And I'm really excited to have him here. Hello, Doug. How are you?
Hello.
Hey.
I forgot what my I forgot what my title was at the Martin Agency for a second.
It was a long one.
It didn't end that way, but Holdco.
Oh.
What are you gonna do? It's okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've all been there. But you know what? I think probably a lot of agencies out there are glad that you're doing what you do now, because I think what you're building at Indie Agency News is incredibly impressive and so important. And actually, I'm already going to go off script. Tell me a little bit about why you started Indie Agency News. What was the need that you saw in the market that made you go, yeah, we need this?
Well, the brief on this whole thing is build the global home for independent agencies. And the mission is to serve indies and the brilliant people behind them. The goal is more visibility for indies and more choice for marketers. So when I was at the trades, I would gravitate more towards indies. When I was at Stillwell Partners working on the Advertising Week B2B events, I was always the agency guy. My 15-year career in radio, the last piece of it was starting in-house practices and agencies at these radio groups. So I was always happiest in the independent space. And I missed being in the trades. I enjoyed my time at the Drum and at Adweek, and I like broadcast. And I saw this opportunity to create something that was more always on for independent agencies. In addition, have something that's editorially driven, but also provide some tools and some coaching behind the scenes that can help raise visibility. And we're very agnostic about that. If somebody wants to be an ad age, we'll look at their press release, we'll look at their pitch and try to help them. So, so that they stand a better chance. And so we want our members to get visibility wherever they can get it. And obviously with us, we're more video and live. That's our bread and butter. We do written things, but we also know there's a million other ways to cut up visibility. And if we can help that, then more power to us.
So I mean, one of the reasons I'm really excited to have you on Just Ask Jody Live today is, I approach things from the business development side,
Mhm.
from the sales and marketing. Here's how we need to position you. Here's what we need to do to make sure that you're out there and generating awareness. And here's what we need to do to make sure that you are, once you bring leads in, how you're converting them. And you're really about a big important part of that, which is that visibility part. Um, you know, holding co agencies, bigger agencies typically have, like you were the Barton's agency, they have someone
Right.
staff who has the connections at the trades, who understands the strategy, whose all, full-time job is to get visibility.
Right.
So, I know I'm working with the owners of these agencies and like, look, you gotta somehow we gotta figure out how to make business development important. How does a small agency that doesn't have dedicated resource here
Mhm.
go out and get visibility in a way that's going to be, that they'll be able to do their full-time job as well.
Yeah, the thing PR is a very important part. So there's a distinction between
Mm.
visibility and PR.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
PR is an important component of visibility, but it's not the only component of
Mm.
visibility.
How
So,
would you, well, first of all, how would you, how do you differentiate those two? What is PR versus visibility? If you don't mind me going back to something
well,
else.
PR is one component.
Okay.
Creating owned content, creating your own stuff,
Mm.
that's part of it.
Yeah.
Showing up, like the one-on-one piece of it, the community piece of it, showing up
Mm.
and being part of things, uh, getting on stages
Yeah.
and building as it relates to PR, as it relates to the trades, it's more challenging now because staffs are getting cut and
Mm.
the demands on it with especially with so many new agencies popping up,
Yeah.
the demands on the staff of a trade publication, it's very, very challenging and very few pitches really get through, and
Mm.
it does come down to developing the relationship, developing a point of view. That's the other thing is part
Yeah.
of visibility is having a point of view,
Yeah.
and so there are myriad platforms to be on these, to build your visibility rather. It comes down to prioritizing, and I'll give you an example. We're pretty much just on LinkedIn right now. Would I like us to be on Instagram? We are technically, but that's not our priority right now.
Right.
It
Yeah.
will it will be at some point when we start building some more pieces out of it, but if you're a smaller agency, it's figure out where you might have the most impact, and I think going back to about us being more video focused, it's really important for an agency, and this goes back to the point of view. It's really important to share thinking because
Mm.
if you're in a pitch and all things are equal, ultimately the thing that could tip it over would be how you think about the work, how you think about the strategy, how you think
Yeah.
about growing the client's business. So that's why we really want people to see and hear the thinking of our members because ultimately that could be the thing that tips it. So visibility has a lot of different places you can go, but it's a matter
Mhm.
of prioritizing it.
So I find, I'm curious to know if you run up against this. I will often find an agency owner, an agency leader will intellectually agree with that,
Yeah.
and yet
Yeah.
and yet when it comes to actually expressing a point of view, well, I think there are 2 things. Either they feel like, "Well, I've got a point of view, but I don't wanna alienate anyone,"
Yep.
or they are like, "I don't know, like, I just, like, the work comes first. That's my point of view." I mean, I'm
Yep.
genericizing it. So, I'm curious,
Mhm.
how do you handle that type of reaction from an indie agency?
Well, if someone's worried about alienating, I think a better word for that would be filtering.
Mhm. Yes,
Because
I agree.
if you're an agency owner and you have a
Yeah.
strong point of view, in my case, and this was Holdco's, but, and she's back now, Kristen Cavallo always had a
Yeah.
point of view, right? So, the in some ways, it becomes a filter,
Yeah.
and there will be marketers that may be attracted to that. There will
Mhm.
be marketers that are repelled by that and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a point of view, then how are you gonna push your client? How are you really gonna push them?
I think that's such an interesting point, and I don't know if I've seen this in the last year or 2, but I think every time there's a survey done that says why marketers leave agencies,
Mhm.
I feel like the perennial, number 1 or number 2 answer is we didn't feel like we got enough guidance, our agency didn't push us enough, but they
Yeah.
didn't come to us with strategic ideas.
Yep.
So I think an agency will often win business, and again, totally generalizing this, because they show enthusiasm and they do show some good ideas, but maybe they're also willing to do what the client seems to want. And then
Yeah.
you get a year into it, a year, 2
Yeah.
years into it, and the client's like, I need some more guidance here. And then they're
Yeah. It's
wooed by another agency who says, like, yeah, we'll jump over backwards for you.
yeah. And that's the thing too is jumping
Jump
back,
over,
jump
jump
over you
backward. Yeah,
backwards.
I gotta
Uh,
mix my metaphors,
I'm
but
just,
yeah.
yeah, it's okay. No, I like a good mixed metaphor. It's you hear these stories of late night texts or WhatsApp messages or a WhatsApp thread of, hey, what about this idea? What about this? What about this? It really is about possibility.
Yeah,
And the agencies that I believe separate themselves are willing to they're willing to get really dirty. Uh, there plenty a lot of agencies in our membership that you hear these stories and then it may not be the thing, but it might lead to another thing, which leads to another thing, which leads to another thing.
yeah,
A marketer is hiring you for your expertise, sure, but what they're not going to tell you is there may be some marketers, and God bless them if there are, that say, hey, I really want to be challenged. And there
mhm,
may be some that just don't. They
yeah,
want you to move the levers. And part of the problem with that is that you may not see the signals. We do this thing called
right.
Blueprint. It's more of our
Mm,
like our research slash intelligence product. And we did one on client churn. And so if you have these telltale signs where you're starting to get more people on the email threads, your clients not returning, it's all
oh,
the
that's
signals.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and so
Yeah,
it's, I think that the opportunity is it just keep the ideas
yeah,
going, and it doesn't
yeah,
matter where it comes from. It could come from a strategist, it could come from a junior account person. It doesn't matter. It all is really important because
yeah.
everyone's responsible for the business.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I feel like we could have gone off into like an account management discussion, which is I want to stay on
Oh, it's all
visibility,
right.
but I think the signals is really interesting. With my clients, I'll often help them understand the signals in the pitch process and the RFP process. But I guess that I never really thought that through. That of course there are tons of signals that you need to attune
Mhm.
yourself to as the account starts to fall apart. I think also, and then I promise I will get off of like account
No, you're
management,
good.
but um,
I
it's
listen, I sell I I take care of all of our wonderful sponsors, so I get it.
yeah. Well, and sometimes you have to you have to say what they fear before they're willing to say it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like,
Mhm.
hey, I think we're not performing as well as we could, or hey, client, I feel like I see some storm clouds ahead. We need to prepare for
Mhm.
this. It's and
It
sometimes
it
you
it
don't
yeah,
always
and
in that.
yeah, and it comes down to your point, trying to assess things farther down the road. So,
Yeah.
we're in economic headwinds and all of those things, but that's the macro. When you
Yeah.
start getting into things like, okay, specifically your product is chocolate and we're seeing a 67% decline in this and da 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 da. Da. So it's a matter of doing a little bit more digging. And
Mhm.
by the way, lean on your brilliant strategists to help you out
Mm,
with that, by the
yeah,
way. Look for these micro things because that's the nuance. If you go in macro, anybody can do that. Not
yeah.
everybody can go in micro. So find those tension points where you can go back to your client and say, I'm noticing this trend. I read something in the Financial Times that said this.
Right.
It is about getting that nerdy and it's probably worth building out some structured time around that. So for example,
Yeah.
if this was
Great
like
idea.
your wrap for a Friday, let's just assume a Friday, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's spend 90 minutes working on what we see as potential micro pitfalls for our
Mhm,
client
mhm.
here and here. So then it becomes more of a muscle memory and a discipline, and
Yeah.
it may lead to nothing, by the way. It may be like, no, you know what, everything's cool, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
But you also need to think about why. Like, okay, this is what we're thinking. This is what we're thinking. And to a marketer, if you go in saying this is what we're thinking about your business, they're
Yeah.
going to be like, "Yep, tell me more. Come on."
Yeah, and even if you're wrong, or even
Yeah,
if your thoughts are not quite, I don't know. I think that, I don't know, maybe I give marketers too much credit. I think they still appreciate the fact that you're going in there
yeah,
with some expert thinking.
yeah,
And it's not like you're coming up with these ideas without some sort of strong foundation.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I think it's, the other thing that I like to think about is that when you're, especially when you're talking at the CMO or even CEO level, their jobs essentially their job is to predict the future. Their job is to be able
yeah.
to make decisions that are more likely
Predict
than
the
not.
future quarterly.
Right. Well, yeah. Um, and I think the more that you can help them, again, it's like take the pressure off of feeling
Yep.
like you have to be right, and just, but be more about the contribution. Like,
Mhm,
here are a few things we could think about. Yeah,
mhm.
I totally agree. So when you go back to that point of view, so let's say agencies are like, okay, okay, I'll develop a point of view. Where typically they're like, but I don't know where to start. Do
Right.
you have a methodology of where they should start to develop
Eh,
that?
Not really.
Mm.
The because so my friend Howard Moggs, who,
Mhm.
if you
I
are
know Howard.
struggling, yeah, if you're
Yeah,
struggling with positioning,
yeah,
that's your guy.
yeah. Well, you can also
And
talk to me too.
yeah, yeah, no, I got it. Yeah. But it is different that you it is different, because if you
Mm,
start building out specific methodologies for everyone, if it's you're using the same
mm,
methodology, then you run the risk of sounding the same. So we did this exercise at Summit in Chicago,
mhm.
and we had marketers on stage, and then we put an agency's value prop up on the screen, and it was
Yeah,
either red or green. Full props to Katie Wally Wiegert, from a partner in
yeah.
Indie Agency News, for putting that brilliance together. It was phenomenal. But it was very, very telling, because agencies sometimes inflate and conflate
Hmm,
what they do.
mm,
Full service is a little bit of a trap right now. You can be full
yeah.
services, AKA we do these things,
Mhm.
but there are always going to be 2 or 3 things that are gonna rise to the top, and that's
Mm.
a show called Meet an Indie Agency, and that's one of the
Yeah,
questions. What are the top 3 solutions you provide? And so we're forcing the answer to be, tell us the things you're great at, because you
mhm,
might be great at 3 things, but you have a list of 12, and number 1, that gets really confusing. Number
yeah.
2, does a marketer have time to sift through all of
Nope.
that? If it's number 18 on a list,
Yeah,
they're not gonna take the rest of it seriously.
yeah.
So I'm not saying that if you're a full service agency that you should all of a sudden specialize. That's not what I'm saying. But you will have some natural expertise, or it could be a vertical or verticals,
Yeah,
plural. So
yep.
I think you start with that. Start with what you're great at, and then start working down to, "Oh, we're great at this.
Yeah,
We're so no, it goes, we're incredible at this. We're great at this.
yeah,
We're good at this. We're okay at this."
yeah.
And
I like,
and and it has to be a real honest thing.
yeah.
If like, I'll give you an example. So,
Mhm,
um, so one of our members, Zambezi,
mhm.
they
Great
have,
agency.
amazing media practice, amazing the production, Finn, the production company, it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
So they know, and they also have expertise, especially in sports and lifestyle and all these things. They know not only what they are, but who they are and why they are.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of our members that are either in that same position or they're moving towards that. And hopefully we've helped them, move along
Yeah,
a little bit in that
yeah,
journey. But yeah, yeah, it I think you have to go through that exercise and just be
yeah.
honest and not have to be everything to everybody all the time. And again, full services, fine. We can do all these things over here, but here's what
Yeah,
we're incredible at. Let's
yeah.
start here.
I also think I always, sometimes I think this type of exercise also results in a lot of navel gazing
Yeah.
and sort of going around in circles. And I
Yep.
try to sort of break the mold and say, let's start thinking about first the problems that you solve, the problems that are on the minds of your clients.
Mhm.
And one, I think it takes the emphasis off of you. It's easy, and it's you can't read the label from inside the jar, as the old saying goes. So now you're looking at your client, you're like, "Oh,
That's a
yeah, they've
very
got these
oh, that's a folksy one.
I know it is, it's very it's a favorite of David C. Baker's, if you, know him, but yeah, I think it's probably been around for a long time, probably as long as there have been jars with labels on them.
Right.
So, the moment I find the moment an agency can think about the clients and the problems that they're solving, then it becomes much more productive and constructive. I
Mhm.
also believe that if you can articulate a problem that someone's having as well as, or maybe even better than they can articulate it themselves, they will naturally assume that you have the ability to solve that problem. And I think that can be a real epiphany for the agencies that I work with, because all of a sudden it's like, oh, you mean our credentials don't come first? No, like you start the conversation with this clearly telegraphing you understand the problem, and then you can start talking about the credentials,
Yeah.
and those top three services the things that you are really great at. I mean, sometimes I find agencies push back and they say, "Well, we don't want to pigeonhole. We want to keep all."
No, you either are try to be everything to everybody and then you'll
Yeah,
be nothing to nobody,
yeah,
or you really focus in hard on it and
yeah,
you have a place to start and it becomes the oh by the way. Yeah,
yeah,
we've done great on this by the way. We have a really strong media practice too. Oh,
yeah,
by the way,
yeah,
we have strong
yeah,
production. Oh, by the way, we have this.
yeah.
So,
So if you can if you can guide an agency to have that point of view of like that sort of that why behind what they do and what they do really well, what's then next as far as that sort of that visibility raising? Is that where you go and sort of pitch yourself to those journalists, those outlets, those conferences, or do you recommend folks start to develop their own media first, their own
I
content
think,
first?
yeah, I think, I think it's a combination. I mean,
Mm,
for our members, we proactive. I've been working on this, this, platform so internally we can be quicker about pitching show ideas to
mm,
our members. And
mhm.
so I think that you have to create your own stuff to start. If you because if you
Yeah,
go in as somebody that's not known, or it's hard
yeah,
and you will get incredibly frustrated. You should always orient yourself towards it. You and I think it's more face to face. So if you're at, an ad age, if you go to small agency, for example, which,
yeah,
great conference.
yeah.
Um, and you meet Brian Bonilla, you meet Judy, you meet Ewan. I met Ewan Larkin for the first time last week,
Oh,
and we're both so I'm wearing my Phillies hat, and
nice.
he's from another town north of me, so we had a nice conversation.
Right, so you're a Philly
Um,
boy.
it's sort of, yeah, middle school and
Oh,
high
okay,
school outside of Philly.
okay.
My family lives South Jersey, so, um, South Jersey in the house. It is important simply to just be there, say hi. You're not gonna get it all done.
Right,
It just takes, it just takes time. It
yeah,
really, really does. And then the work, I think, speaks for itself. So, if someone like Tim Nudd is enamored with your work, number one, that's a great endorsement.
mhm,
Number two, it's a great way to raise your visibility,
yeah,
but it's one piece.
yeah,
It is one piece.
and I think it's cumulative too, like, you meet Brian at the small agency conference, and,
Mhm.
again, if you don't have a articulate, clear positioning, then it just becomes another piece of like agency fluff getting stuck in his head. So
Mhm.
you're not actually making any inroads, you're not making any progress. So you
Yeah.
say something that's a little memorable and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then maybe you follow up and you start to build that profile
Oh,
in his
yep.
brain. And then he goes to your website and you're like, he goes, oh, they're actually, they've got a pretty interesting video
Mhm.
series or a podcast or um,
Don't
interesting. Like, and
expect it though. Don't expect
don't
it though. I
expect,
mean,
you're right.
that's
Don't
the
expect
thing.
it.
Yeah,
You have to
don't
build up that capital. You have to build
don't
up the
yeah,
permission.
you can't
Yeah.
expect anything. The other thing I
Yeah.
would say about Brian Bonilla is if you go up to him and say the Mets suck, he'll remember you.
Oh my goodness, thank goodness I'm a Mets fan. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
then I have a lot to talk about him to
Yeah.
talk about Tim. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
was he a Mets fan or
Yeah,
not? He's like,
Brian's a Mets fan. Brian's
okay,
a Mets
good.
fan.
Okay, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if he felt strongly about the fact that they do suck, but
No,
which
they
sometimes
do.
they do. Sometimes. I think they're having a pretty good year this year though, aren't they?
No, they suck.
Early, but anyway,
Yeah.
okay. Um, anyway, but on to the point. We'll do another series on baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's also that expectation of like, well, I met Brian and I
Yeah.
gave him the pitch,
Yeah.
and I don't understand
What
why I'm not
happened?
getting what happened.
You know, I had some people say, you know, there was the presumptive. So when this is published, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, no, no. That's
Yeah,
not how this works. But it's relationships, and that's where really
just like
strong.
sales.
Yeah, it's like it is. I mean, really honestly, think about it. Everything is sales. If
Yeah,
you're creative, you're selling the concept, you're selling the idea, you're selling the
yeah,
campaign. Everybody's in sales, so get over it. Like
yeah,
honestly, we're all in sales. I
yeah,
want you to be a member of Indie Agency News. I want partners to come in and share this mission.
yeah.
You're helping, we're all selling.
Yeah,
That's okay.
it's
That
okay.
is absolutely okay.
And by
So,
the way, probably you will need more than one point of contact because most,
yeah,
especially if you're selling complicated, complex professional services, it's not just
and
one pitch and then you get the business or the placement or
and
yeah,
there are a number of very, very good PR professionals in
yeah,
our field that have those relationships, and it is worth, if you are at that point where you are confident in what you're doing,
hmm,
it makes all the sense in the
yeah.
world
I
to think
agree.
about building a budget for that.
I totally agree, and I can't believe I'm just looking at the time. We're almost at the bottom of the hour, and so this actually could be an interesting
You
way
just
to.
did like the radio thing. We're almost at the bottom of the hour. That's called a service element in radio. Love it.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's 10:28,
Okay,
48
yeah.
degrees here in Portland. We're aiming for 72 and sunny. That's a Holdco agency. I
Wow,
was trying
maybe
to
I have a second career. But now I'm gonna forget my question. The question was, I just see, I just said that totally that was not like what a
sorry.
normal, yeah, what
I
a
sort of
radio host would
derailed
do.
you.
What were we just talking about?
I don't know.
It was very important.
You gotta just ask
Oh,
something
yeah,
else.
hiring a PR person. So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think, again, from my perspective, I think a lot of agencies make that important, expensive investment before they're really ready to take
Yep,
advantage of it, to make the most of that.
yep.
Your indicators that tells you an agency is ready to hire a good PR person?
I I think so there are a couple ways to look at this. So if it is before, then go into it understanding that it's exploratory and they're finding the lanes for you. And then they are giving you the steps that you need to take to
Mm,
get
okay.
to that level. So I think that you can do it early. I mean, you absolutely can because that's part of their role. So
Yeah.
they'll come in and be able to tear things apart. The other thing I will say is, you know, they're considered PR professionals or however you want to label it. You need to treat them, if you're an agency, you got to treat your PR people more like a CMO, like a marketer,
Yeah.
because again, PR is one component of it. They're going to talk to you about trying to get on a stage at Cannes or the one show or
Yeah.
creative week or advertising week or whatever. They're going to be able to pull all of that apart and get you focused,
Mhm.
get you absolutely focused. And then when you bring in an expertise on positioning, it's an investment, but it's very, very worthwhile. So
Yeah.
I think you don't necessarily have to do things in advance to bring in a comms professional. And in fact, if you're struggling with it, now might be the time anyway.
Yeah. You could also, excuse me, you could also join Indie Agency News.
Yeah, come on over.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah.
And get yourself ready and start to
Yeah.
build that way. Yeah, so that's interesting. So, I always think that it will help if you've got that expert point of view, if you've articulated a positioning.
Mhm.
But I think what you're also saying is that, hey, look, even if you feel like that's a gap, you may still want to consider hiring a PR firm and then listening to what they say about
Yeah.
how you need to position yourself. And
Yeah, and
yeah.
and don't get stuck in this trap because you get this trap of, well, we need to get coverage.
Mhm.
Okay. You don't need to get coverage. You need to be able to tell your story well. Coverage
Mhm.
is a part of it.
Yeah.
You got to tell your story really well. And you do
Yeah.
that with confidence, then and again, reworking it, orienting it towards solutions for a client and a marketer. A marketer just, they have listen, I know how hard we all work as agencies. I know
Mhm.
all this. This is not
Yes.
some foreign thing, and I'm not ever gonna be cavalier about it because I created in-house agencies in radio, so it was like bottom feeder central, right? So, I mean, it's like I'm sitting there with coked up car dealers, like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
So, I do have a story about, some of those, by the way, but I'm not gonna share it
I
right
bet I
now.
bet it's a good
Yeah.
story.
It involved a tanning salon.
Oh,
Do you
no.
want me to tell it real quick?
Wow, sure, why
Okay,
not? Why
alright.
not? If you got time, I
Well,
got
hold
time.
on. Let me back up, and then I'll
Okay.
get to this
Yeah.
story. So, so I know how hard this is, and the
Yeah.
thing about it too is you want to be empathetic towards a marketer,
Mhm.
and I think when a marketer identifies that you can be a safe harbor in some ways,
Yeah.
and you know what, part of your role might be that off the record, I need to vent because my CFO is being a jerk kind of thing,
Mm.
and it's I think it's such a cliche, and it really is, but it's also really true. People work with people, and I don't want it to,
Yeah.
it is so cliche, but it's honestly the truth. There are some, oh my God, it's so, response agency,
Mhm.
uh, has had, I think it's Lenovo for like the longest time.
Yeah.
270B has had avocados from Mexico for 8, 9 years. So like
Yeah.
there's like all of these stories that aren't necessarily told all the time. They don't necessarily need to be told because
Yeah.
if you do a great job for a marketer, they all talk
That's
and
true.
they
Yeah,
all,
I know.
you
Still, like,
know?
talk about surveying. It's like not only is it the number one reason why they leave an agency because 'cause they're not getting those proactive strategic ideas, but the number one way they start to find a new agency,
They talk to their buddies.
they talk to their peers.
Yep.
Yeah,
So here's the
absolutely.
story. So,
Okay.
so the way it worked would be, a rep would come in. I should let Kurt Ludwig know I'm telling this. I should text him. No, I'm not going to do that right now. So,
I'll send them a recording.
so tanning salon.
Yeah.
It's this guy and his girlfriend, and his girlfriend, let's just say, had been in the tanning bed maybe a little too much.
Yeah.
And he seemed very antsy. So he's sitting on the couch in my studio, and I start trying to like, pick pick this thing apart. So I'm like, so what makes you different? And he goes, we have hot chicks. I go, okay. I said, what? He said, yeah, when you come down, there's gonna be hot chicks behind the counter, and hot chicks are gonna help you out. And his
That's a
girlfriend is
theater.
completely co-signing on this. There is a punchline to this, by the
Okay,
way.
okay.
So so we just keep going around and around and around. And we get to a point where I say, okay, well, he's the suburb he was in is Tualatin, which is south of Portland. I said, okay, so we want to focus this. He goes, no, 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 no. He said, people are going to come down from Vancouver. That's like a 45-minute drive.
Mhm.
I said, why are they going to come down from Vancouver? He goes, hot chicks. I go, right, hot chicks. Just, like it just went back and forth, back and forth. They leave.
Yeah.
The guy's name was Jeff Stone. And so in walks Kurt, and I looked at him and I said, what are you doing? Like, don't ever do that to me again. He said, do you know who that was? I said, no. He said, Jeff Gillooly from the Tanya Harding episode.
Oh my, that makes so much sense now.
Mm-hmm. No idea whatever
Oh,
happened
good
to
for
it.
him. He also had a second career. Oh my gosh. Wow.
It was weird. Yeah.
That's a pretty good celebrity.
Yeah, I almost got
C-list celebrity story. I like it.
Being very generous. Yeah, Tanya Harding almost sued us a couple times when I was a morning show producer. So
Wow.
yeah, there's.
I think we're gonna have to have you back on to talk about all those amazing war stories. I'll start a whole new
God, no. That one was that was the PG-13 version of it.
It could be another like offshoot of indie agency, like the indie agency empire will be like Uncle Advertising's.
Well, here's the thing too, is like you could talk to a lot of people at agencies.
Yeah.
They all have stories like that.
Yeah.
They all have like the pitch. And one of the many brilliant things that Katie did during the summit was this thing called a burn box. And so people would write down anonymously their worst like pitch moments and things like that. And they were read live on stage. It's brilliant. It was brilliant. So speaking of summit, we're already scheduled and booked for April 13th in Portland.
Nice. Okay. April 13th, 2027, Indie Agency Summit. I mean, you guys sold out this year.
Yeah. So we're repositioning it as Indies Rising Global Summit. So the beauty of getting to Portland is it's a lot easier to get here than people realize. So, London, British Airways, Amsterdam, KLM, Alaska Airlines flies from a lot of cities in the US to Portland. And if it's not, it's just a quick hop down from Seattle.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the reservation. So what we did last time was $99 reserves your seat. We'll do the same thing. There'll be a turbo early bird, but after you're done doing that, we're going to send you a survey so that you can see some of the things that you might be able to do in Oregon or the Pacific Northwest, either before or after the summit. So let's say you're a Goonies fan. You want to go down to Astoria for that. Maybe you want to go windsurfing. You'd go out to the Columbia River Gorge and wine tasting in the Willamette Valley.
You're going to make it like a whole destination.
Yeah, we want you to feel like it. Yeah, we want it to feel like an experience for you. Like, yes, the summit's going to be fantastic. That we know, but at the same time, we want you to be able to take I think that's our philosophy is cool, but also take a little time for yourself. Take a little time. Maybe you get a bunch of people together and you get a house down at the coast, and
that's great.
There's all sorts of things. So so I'm excited about that, and and I want to.
So if people want more information about it, they can go to.
Not yet. That's going up later today. So
maybe go get on the mailing list if you're not a member already.
Yeah.
That's one way you can find them.
Yeah, and I want to thank Own It.
It was really nice that you were able to.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, and they were very welcoming and welcoming us as the day before, and hopefully we can do it again in Portland.
Yeah,
so
that'll be great. Have you convinced Own It to be in Portland next year?
I mean, I told them what I was going to do. So yeah. But the thing is too, is anyone that has a conference that would fit into, like an indie week.
Right.
You're welcome.
Great idea. Yeah.
Brent, do Mirren in April. Come on out.
In Portland. Well, but he's also based in Seattle too, isn't he? So that would be.
Is he?
I
don't even know.
So maybe it was me. I don't know. This has been really great. So indieagency.news. Also, folks, you can connect with Doug on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/Zanger, or just
put Zanger.
Use that handy dandy search bar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're also going to be at Cannes for any of those lucky indie agencies that are going to be at Cannes this year.
Yeah, and thank you to our members who supported this with a sponsorship, and we also have Mogul as our lunch sponsor and Big Village as our breakfast sponsor. So we're very fortunate that we were able to bring 20 of our members in as partners, and also some of our existing preferred partners as well.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you were able to be with us today or with me today. Thank you so much.
Happy
Like
to
I
join
said
you.
at the beginning, your experience has led to a lot of insights that I think are is so useful for agencies. So
I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've had a very weird career, and I'm a little bit of a weirdo, and that's the beauty of what we do in indie world is we're a little askew,
Weird is good.
and that's what makes it great.
Yeah. Thank you, Zach.
All right,
All
thank you,
right.
Jody.
All right, folks, and thank you for being here. We didn't have a whole lot of comments. Maybe you guys are just wrapped listening to us talk and listening to Doug's advice about how to grow your visibility. But if you're watching this on the recording and you do have questions, just put a note in the comments. We look at the comments all the time. DM me on LinkedIn. Let me also tell you that next month we're switching gears a little bit. I'm going to have Susan Baer, who is one of the founders of a firm called Audience Audit. They do custom research. They actually do custom research for agencies. Speaking of growing your visibility, you might want to talk to her about doing like a custom research study that you could use as thought leadership. But anyway, that's actually not what we're going to be talking about. They do an annual study called the Agency Core Survey. It's 600 agencies about what they're doing right, what they're fearing, what's working, what's not. And we're going to be digging through the results of that survey. It's going to be super interesting. And again, Build One Scale Accelerator, if you feel like you need some support around building that repeatable, reliable system for new business, give me a call and let's have a chat and let's see if we can get you into the accelerator if it makes sense for you. And I promise if it doesn't, I'll be honest with you, but let's see if it does. All right, that's it. We'll see you next month. Have a happy and successful month of business development, and I'll see you then.